Our Las Vegas Strip skyline will change in the next couple of months as the Tropicana has officially announced its closing date. It comes as the Athletics prepare to move to our city and make their new home on the Las Vegas Strip. Our Amber Rodriguez joins us live with those details.
That's right, Marie. And April 2nd is the official closing date for the Tropicana. And like you said, it's to make way for Las Vegas to become home for the Major League Baseball team.
Another building is going to get blown up, make something bigger out here.
Something bigger will be the Athletics' proposed 30,000-seat ballpark.
Oh, I love it. I'm within walking distance of a Major League ballpark. Oh, yeah, you can't beat that.
And although details of when the demolition will begin, some locals are already thinking of the impacts on their commute.
People are going to have a hard time getting to and from work, but it's good for the city, the economy and stuff like that. But as far as I'm concerned, there's enough traffic as it is. But I'm just one person, and that would benefit a lot of people, jobs and different things. But, you know, it's good for the city.
As Las Vegas looks to become the sports mecca of the world, some people are welcoming the team with open arms.
I moved here because you could bet on sports. It was the only reason. And we didn't have any sports here, but you could bet on them. Now, all the sports have come, you know? So I'm as happy as can be. Beautiful place to retire.
And again, those details of exactly when the Tropicana will be taken down are still in the works, but we'll continue to follow all the details as we get ready for that new stadium. Right now, reporting live from the DI overpass. Never been here, but it is gorgeous. Back to you in the studio, Marie.
It really is a beautiful place to just take in the boulevard behind you. Amber, thank you.
It's bittersweet. You've been in a stable position for so long at a second home that's been there for so long. And now with this, it's like, I hate to see it go, but I understand why it needs to change.
After the beloved Tropicana, Las Vegas announces its official closing date, a longtime employee is sharing how it feels after working for the hotel for nearly 2 decades. Thank you for joining us. I'm Marie Mortera. The official last day for the property is set for April 2nd as the Athletics prepare to build a 30,000-seat ballpark on the Las Vegas Strip. Our Amber Rodriguez joins us live with more reaction on the move, and this is coming from that longtime worker.
That's right, Marie. Today we get to hear from another point of view from Tawana Moore. She has spent the last 17 and a half years dedicated to working at the Tropicana. And if she takes the severance package offered, she could be walking away with $34,000. But she says the memories are priceless.
I feel like I grew up there because I started at 23 and I'm 40 now. So it's like, it's a home. It's really my second home. That's my second family.
Tawana Moore says she began working for the Las Vegas Staple in 2006 after applying for an open position through Job Flash as a guest room attendant.
I went in for my interview and the same day I got hired, and I've been there ever since.
The longtime employee says as a young mother with a then toddler, the job played a huge role into who she is today.
It was a learning experience at the same time, so I'm glad I went through and learned the things that I did because it obviously helped mold me into the mom and the woman I am now, you know? So I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't change it for anything.
And after dedicating 17 and a half years to the hotel, Moore says she will miss it all, especially her Tropicana teammates.
I just lost my mom a month ago. And the way that Tropicana rallied around me, it really felt, it felt good. It felt so good. I'm not gonna lie. So that's what I'm gonna miss the most. The love, the caring, the togetherness when it's needed. I'm gonna miss that.
And Moore is one of 500 culinary union employees that will be getting that severance package. I asked her exactly what she plans on doing with that, and she tells me she's going to take a long-deserved vacation. Reporting live, Amber Rodriguez. Back to you in the studio, Marie.
After all those years, absolutely well-deserved. Amber, thank you. Tomorrow begins the week-long countdown to the closure of the Tropicana Hotel and Casino. The nearly 70-year-old property will shut its doors to make way for the planned Athletics ballpark. Thank you for joining us. I'm Marie Mortera. Now historians are working with the property to preserve parts of the resort, and no doubt there is a lot to hold on to. Our Amber Rodriguez looked into the famous casino's history.
That's right, Marie. And the Tropicana will be closing actually just 3 days shy of when it would have marked 67 years in business here on the famous Las Vegas Strip. And the chair for the UNLV's history department and Professor Michael Green says the casino's past includes some of the most diverse entertainment lineups. But the famous hotel's start actually has ties to organized crime.
When the Trop opened, the operators were connected, it turned out, to Frank Costello, who was called the prime minister of the mob. They found this out when someone tried to kill Costello, and they found in his pocket a piece of paper that showed the take from the Tropicana, which he wasn't supposed to know.
The casino also hosted one of the longest running shows in our city's history, Foley's Berger, which played for 50 years from 1959 to 2009. The hotel also gave Siegfried and Roy their start on the Las Vegas Strip. They were a featured act before branching out on their own. Greens say that wasn't all, as the casino was a hot spot for entertainment.
When they had the Blue Room, they had everybody from jazz greats like Dave Brubeck to Rosemary Clooney. So here were all of these major acts in this one hotel. Later in 1969, when Kirk Kerkorian opened the International, he would have two showrooms. And Elvis was most known for being in one of them. And when it opened, they had the musical Hair, and in the other showroom, Barbra Streisand. In a sense, the Tropicana was doing almost the equivalent of two major showrooms early in its life.
And the Tropicana will officially close next Tuesday at noon. But make sure you stick with us here for all of our rich stories on the historically hotel. And we'll bring you all the latest as we get to the closure. For now, reporting live from the Tropicana, Ambar Rodriguez. Back to you in the studio.
So many memories there. Ambar, thank you.
Just 6 more days until the lights turn off for good at the Tropicana after 67 years. And those with fond memories of that legendary resort want to make sure that history is not forgotten.
News 3's Ambar Rodriguez here in studio with the ongoing efforts to preserve the Tropicana's memory.
If it's memories at their time at the hotel's pool or taking in one of its long list of diverse entertainment acts, making sure we keep records of the historic venue is top of mind.
It's really cool to say that our last time was there together.
When longtime Las Vegas visitor Lisa DeVoy Greger was 21, she had the time of her life at the Tropicana. Now, as a mother to a 21-year-old son, she is sharing her love for the city with him.
It feels pretty cool that you have a kid in their 20s that still wants to vacation and go out with you. So that in itself is great. But to be able to have a spring break with him in my happy place, because I love Vegas so much, and to enjoy it with him and to see him be happy.
Last weekend, she and her son stopped by the beloved hotel one last time.
We walked through, but I told them about like back when I remember you walked through and they had all the tropical theme and the birds and all that kind of stuff.
She says she's sad to see the historic business go, but hopes its legacy is always remembered. To help with that and preserve the famous strip's history, UNLV's Special Collections and Archives safely stores records of past and present hotels and casinos. And the Tropicana will be adding to its collection.
Of course, they are one of the oldest hotels and casinos in the city, and their closure is really the end of an era. And we want to make sure that we're documenting the influence that they had on our city.
Sarah Quigley, the director of the department, says, although details of what exactly the library will take in from the historic hotel are yet to be finalized, she believes it will be similar to what it already has in its collection.
Entertainment files, so whoever was performing at the hotel and casino, there would be correspondence between them and the talent booking department, and maybe examples of their contracts or photos of them on stage.
And the university's collection is open to anyone interested in taking a trip down memory lane, or should I say a trip down the Strip's famous history. Reporting in studio, Ambar Rodriguez, News 3.
Taking a live look at the Tropicana, the famed hotel and casino closing in 5 days after a 67-year history on the Strip. As we've mentioned, it will be demolished to make way for a 30,000 square foot Major League Baseball stadium home to the Oakland A's.
And we know a lot of you have memories at the Trop. And before the doors shut down for good, News 3 has continued to highlight the property that was once known as the Island of Las Vegas.
Yeah, and that includes a long-running bird show. Kristen Drummond is live outside the Tropicana tonight after speaking with the man who hosted that show. And Kristen, that gig really helped establish his career.
It certainly did, Jim and LaToya. Had a chance to speak with Joe Crothwell, also known as the Birdman. He's actually one of our country's most famous bird trainers. He lives here in town, but got his start on the Strip right here at the Tropicana. He tells me it's sad to see that these buildings will soon go away.
It's like losing a home.
Literally for Joe Crothwell, with two birds on his arms.
This is Sheba here on my left.
He revisits the Tropicana this week, recalling his first memories of moving from the San Francisco Bay Area to Las Vegas to perform on the property.
They put me up in one of the garden suites for the rest of the year. 5124 was my address here at the Tropicana.
How long did you work at the Tropicana?
Started in 1989 and ran all the way through 2004.
Highlighting his birds, starting around the pool with the island bird shows to eventually settling in the hotel's Tropics room. Crothwell became known as the Birdman. Personal pictures of his name on the marquee to videos of his performances capture the memories.
We not only started performing here, but we started adding in different birds, 10-foot wingspan condor and hawks and falcons and macaws flying down from the tower roof. And so the show just kept growing and was very, very popular.
The big star of the show, Sheba, a now 40-year-old battler eagle gifted to him by entertainers Siegfried and Roy. He let her perch on my arm for a few minutes. How many performances did Sheba do here at the Tropicana?
We did 3 shows a day, 6 days a week, and that adds up to around 10,000 shows over the years.
Those shows helping Crothwell build his brand from appearances on late-night talk shows.
Please welcome Joe Crothwell and his Big Bird.
To training pigeons for magician Lance Burton's shows at the former Hacienda and later the Monte Carlo.
We had well over 100 pigeons flying in it. And then that got me the job flying pigeons for the Venetian Hotel when they opened. And then that turned into 15 years of flying pigeons in La Rev at the Wynn Hotel. So a lot of my career is based at this property behind me.
Grateful for the experiences. And while his first home in town prepares to become rubble,
we'll just grit our teeth and, watch it come down.
He plans to keep the memories alive, not only in his mind, but also online.
Every time I look up at those towers, I see one of my macaws flying down.
Those towers, like the one here behind me, eventually will be coming down. Executives, though, not saying when demolition will begin. But as you can see here behind me, heavy equipment is already parked in the back of the Tropicana. Now, executives say it's going to take about 90 days for everything to eventually just wind down here at the property. Reporting live from the Las Vegas Strip, I'm Kristen Drummond, News 3.
Rich history, as you know, and nice to know that the Birdman was a part of all of it.
Yeah. Pretty cool story. Thank you so much, Kristen.
The famed hotel and casino has had a rich 67-year history on the Strip. It is where entertainers Siegfried and Roy made their Strip debut with the Foley's Bergère program.
And one of our country's most famous bird trainers also got his start in Las Vegas there. Kristen Drummond spoke with him. I didn't know you could train birds, but apparently you can. Joins us live outside the hotel tonight. Kristen, what are his memories? And also, how does he feel about the Trop coming down?
Well, he's certainly very nostalgic, Jim and Marie, every time he sees the famed hotel and casino here behind me. But he knows when you live in Las Vegas, that also means it can come with change. As you can see here behind me, heavy equipment is now parked on the backside of the property, getting ready for those doors to close on Tuesday and the eventual demolition. And as you mentioned, we do not know when that will begin. But Joe Crothwell has the memories of working here for 15 years, helping build his identity as the Birdman, as seen in this picture of a marquee sign. He moved to Las Vegas from the San Francisco Bay Area in 1989 to work at the Tropicana, even living on property his very first year. He even got to know entertainers Siegfried and Roy, and Krathwohl says he used to work with tigers, lions, and leopards as well, even insisting Siegfried and Roy when corporations wanted an animal during maybe a jungle-themed dinner while they were over at the Mirage. And one year, a zoo out of state actually sent Krathwohl a white tiger cub. I asked him his favorite memory of working at the hotel, and this is what he had to say.
Heidi Klum brought a guy she was dating named Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and we went out by the pool at the Trop, and I was letting him play with the tiger, and this huge crowd gathered, and it was just a surreal moment. You know, here's this kid from the San Francisco Bay Area, and now suddenly we're playing with white tiger cubs and eagles with celebrities at the Tropicana, and it was just great.
Krathwohl has certainly found even more success since his Tropicana days, hosting bird shows at accredited zoos as well as aquariums, and even going over to Egypt to produce a show for the president of Egypt's wife one time. And get this, he has also been on television, late night talk shows as well, including Jay Leno, David Letterman. And he tells me, though, his first television appearance ever was actually with News 3 in our studio back in the early 90s with one of his birds. And of course, he says that is one of those memories he will certainly cherish forever. And coming up at News 3 Live at 6, we're actually going to show you more of Krathwohl's journey, including this one bird that was gifted to him by Siegfried and Roy, how she is doing, and just all of his memories here.
The Birdman, that's really impressive how he had it fly out into the audience and land on somebody's hand.
How about the fact that he had those birds next to him, and one seemed like it wanted to chime in on the interview as well. Kristen's so glad to have him make another appearance here on News 3. Thank you for that look back in time.
Yeah, cool stuff. Thank you, Kristen.
Well, the countdown is underway for the closure of the Tropicana Hotel. Blowing it up is an option on the table in order to start building the Athletics' new ballpark. Our Angie Nomura dove into the history of making casinos boom, which is a unique trend here to Las Vegas.
Blowing up a casino is as Las Vegas gets. Out with the old, in with the spanking brand new. More than a dozen casinos have suffered an explosive end, and we're taking a look at the most notable and recent. Let's travel back to when the trend first started. The year is 1993. The Dunes Hotel and Resort is destroyed, making way for the Bellagio and its fountains. 1995, the Landmark Hotel is blown up. Before its end, it was a landmark in Tim Burton's Mars Attacks film. 2001, the Desert Inn is taken out to make room for the Wynn and Encore casinos. 2007, the iconic Stardust Hotel takes a final bow. And then most recently in 2016, the Riviera Hotel is taken out for the expansion of the Las Vegas Convention Center. Tropicana may be next in line. The Bally's Corporation is still figuring out if imploding the hotel is the best option. Environmental concerns will be taken into account. Either way, it's another casino on the Strip where the cards are getting ready to fold.
Well, the clock is winding down as we keep telling you. The end of an era on the Strip is upon us with the Tropicana Resort set to shut down next Tuesday. Of course, as we showed you, Jim Snyder is there now. And Jim, you've been going around talking to folks, looking around today, even talking to some of the people who have impressively been there for a very long time as they just have days left on the job.
Yeah, it says a lot about a place, doesn't it, with LaToya, when people are willing to stay around for that long, and there have been a lot of them, but it is kind of a kick to just be able to walk around in the casino and show you this live. This is normally not something they let us do, but I guess they figure a couple days left, what the heck. Do you mind if I bother you for a second? Where are you from?
London.
London. And did you come back because the Tropicana is getting ready to close?
This was our first hotel 9 years ago that we came here, yeah.
Okay, how are the machines treating you so far?
I've just started. So,
Okay,
yeah.
just started. We'll let you go. Good luck to you. And yeah, this is it. Pretty good crowd in here, especially as the afternoon rolls into the evening. Not a lot of people at the check-in counter that we saw earlier, but as LaToya said, I've been talking with a lot of employees who have been here for decades and decades. Guys like Charlie Granado, who have been here for more than half of the Tropicana's 67-year history.
Met a lot of good people, made a lot of good friends, and it's sad, but in the other hand, I'm happy that I got the honor to work here all these years.
Charlie has seen a lot of change in his 38 years of working at the Trop. He got the job the way a lot of people did back in the day, by having the right juice.
Well, juice is when you knew somebody. You know, if you know this guy over here, that's just an old wise guy theme to say, hey, I know this guy. Oh, you got a little juice, huh? That means you know this guy that can put you to work.
He goes back to the days when you'd see a lot of those wise guys in the casino and the lounges, but always knew not to get too mixed up with that crowd.
Before then, there was bookies all over the city, and you know, they were connected with somebody.
And when you had interactions with those guys, what was that like?
Well, I never got into their business because they don't let you in.
Sure.
Unless you borrow money from them, then it's a different story.
You don't want to do that.
No, they told me, don't borrow money from the guys.
Back in the day, whenever the Snyder family would come to visit Las Vegas, they always wanted to stay at the Trop, and this is a big reason why. The only place in town you could find swim-up blackjack tables. Dean Davis has been working the front door at the Trop for 33 years, and he says one of the biggest changes over that time is the way the tourists dress.
Well, when I first started, it seemed like everybody dressed up an awful lot. It's kind of old school, a little bit more formality. Everybody now you'll see running naturally in shorts and flip-flops and whatnot. It had a little bit more posh and class, I think. So the dress code has changed over the years, but I found a couple ladies here still dress up to come to the casino. How you doing? You winning?
Heck no, this casino is taking me.
That means she's about to win. And let me ask you, you live here in Las Vegas.
I do. I've been here for 3 years.
And what do you like about the Tropicana?
Oh, I love everything about it. I was out in the atrium earlier, or the garden.
Yeah.
And near the pool. It was really nice.
Okay, and I was right. You were about to win, right?
I was about to win.
You can thank News 3 for that kind of luck. So we've been talking with a lot of the customers down here, and we also had a chance to check with a pair of There goes the bell again. Everyone's a winner down here at the Trop tonight. We checked with a couple performers who have been wowing the crowds in the iconic Folies Bergère here at the Trop for years before it closed down, and while they cherish the memories, they are very sad to say goodbye to this property, the Tropicana. Tracy, Rosemary, and scores of other Tropicana performers will gather here tomorrow for a final farewell get-together. They're expecting performers from as far back as 1964. So multiple generations getting together to say goodbye to an era.
Everybody's really sad. Like I said, we were there last week for something, and there were some tears. We actually walked into the theater, and things are starting to be torn apart. It's you see the end is coming.
I'm just very sad, and hold on to the history. Hold it here in your hearts, you know, because that's soon all we're going to have is our memories and the little piece of memorabilia we have from the heyday.
That is the bittersweet thing for locals, you know, having to say goodbye to these iconic places that have stood for years and all the memories that they bring around as well. And now the way it works is before they demolish this building, they'll be wanting to get rid of everything in here that they can, that in the hotel rooms, the beds, the dressers, and everything like that. That's going to be on sale here soon, LaToya.
Now with News 3's Ambar Rodriguez. She's here in the studio with us for a look back at some of the Tropicana's more colorful history. Ambar.
That's right, Steve. The Tropicana has a long history on the Las Vegas Strip throughout its nearly 67 years in business. Ownership of the hotel has changed several times, and some of its early history even involved the mob.
It opened April 4th, 1957, and it was called the Tiffany of the Strip.
History professor and chair for UNLV's history department, Michael Green, says when the Tropicana opened for business, its builders had ties to organized crime. Their connection? Frank Costello, who was known as the prime minister of the mob. But 1 month after the hotel opened, an assassination attempt changed Costello's life and led him into semi-retirement. In come J. Kell Hausels, who became the general manager and part owner before he, his family, and investors sold the business.
Eventually, Mitzi Stauffer Briggs, a chemical heiress, owned the Trop in the late 70s, and she did not know much about gaming.
And the casino's ties to organized crime continued.
A guy named Joe Augusto was the show producer for the Folie Bergère. It turned out he was tied to organized crime. So was one of the casino bosses, Carl Thomas, and they were involved in skimming for the Kansas City mob family led by the Savellas.
Briggs ended up losing all of her fortune after investing it into the hotel.
She was horribly used by these organized crime figures. Once they were all driven out, Ramada Inns bought the Tropicana. And that's really the beginning for the Tropicana of corporate gaming.
Owner Bally's Corporation, which purchased the casino in September of 2022. Reporting in studio, Ambar Rodriguez, News 3.
All right, thank you, Ambar.
As we mark this end of an era, we take you live to the Tropicana, where in our 5 o'clock hour, people were showing up and taking selfies right next to our Andrew Nomura. Maybe happening right now at 6:02. It looks like you found your way. Are you inside the lobby area, Andrew?
Yeah, we're right here under the valet portion of the Tropicana Hotel, where we've already been seeing people stopping by, getting out of their cars, taking pictures, their final goodbyes to this iconic hotel. We've also been seeing crews going in and out of the hotel, taking out some of the gaming equipment, and then rolling it up on top of these moving trucks here as they prepare for this closure of this iconic hotel, which is closing 2 days before its 67th birthday. Now, the Tropicana Hotel first debuted April the 4th, 1957. It was known as the Tiffany of the Strip, one of the most expensive hotels built at that time. And it had one of the longest running shows here in Las Vegas, the Folie Bergère Cabaret with those iconic feathered showgirls that you often see video of. Yeah, that was here. Along with their Blue Room, where they had tons of jazz musicians jam out, having a party. And then the magicians Siegfried and Roy also debuted here at the Tropicana Hotel before going off on their own. Now, ownership was a bit of an issue, changed hands multiple times. It was at one point, according to historian Dr. Michael Green, owned by the mob before eventually being sold to the Bally's Corporation in 2022. We caught up with a couple of people yesterday who kind of relived and retold some of their greatest memories of this hotel. Take a listen.
When I walked in there, I promise you, I had tears running down my face. I'm like, oh my God, like, I just grew up here. All my friends, like,
Yeah,
we all grew up here. Like, all of us know, like, the Tropicana.
Yeah, a lot of people had the same sentiment all for the most of the week last week that we were talking to. Demolition is set for October to make way for the Athletics ballpark. And then, Ken, we do know that there is a liquidation sale, so some of the furniture and stuff that you saw on these trucks right here might go up for sale that you may be able to purchase. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and this really is a moment. It's the third oldest hotel on the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. Before that, you have the Sahara and also the Flamingo. So this really is an end of an era. Thank you very much, Andrew, for that.
The Tropicana officially ends its 67-year run on the Las Vegas Strip, one of the oldest properties remaining from back in the day, say pre-mega resort days. In the overnight hours at 3 a.m., all the casino operations were shut down. By noon, all the food and drink services had stopped, and then at 1 p.m., it was done. The Tropicana was shut down. They padlocked the front doors. Good evening, everyone. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera in for Latoya Silman. Today, a historic day for the Las Vegas Strip. And for many, it is a somber day saying goodbye. We have your Tropicana team coverage tonight. Las Vegas was once a mob town, and with nearly 70 years on the Strip, there is no question the Tropicana has seen a thing or two. Our Denise Rosh is standing by with a look at organized crime ties to Tropicana.
We'll start with News 3's Kristen Drummond. She's live down at the property tonight, and you were there for that final moment, the ceremonial ending this afternoon.
It certainly was an emotional moment, Jim and Marie, as team members walked out of these doors behind me to a crowd cheering them on just right outside the entrance. Now, I'm going to step out where you can see 4 of these doors are now chained with a lock on them, signifying the end of the Tropicana. No one can go through that entrance again ever to gamble or even stay in the hotel. But before that moment, as I mentioned, team members walked out of the doors for that final goodbye and to hug one another as we say farewell. So certainly some cheers there, definitely some tears as well, as you see a couple hundred employees participating in that moment, from holding signs that say "Thank you, Las Vegas" to filming the nearby crowd watching the general manager lock the doors. Now, some locals and tourists cheered them on. One man I spoke with says he came from Colorado for the closure. Another person I talked to walked out the Tropicana doors with the last drink ever poured at Robert Irvine's restaurant. The Strip's third oldest casino will no longer welcome guests as demolition preparations start to build a proposed Major League Baseball stadium home to the Oakland Athletics. Now, some team members I spoke with say they're not just carrying the memories with them. No, one man has a gift bag with the signatures of the people he says helped make his career here.
All the names on here are gifts. All gifts. They're part of my journey, and they're the reason why where I'm at, from being a porter to a manager.
What was it like walking outside of the Tropicana entrance for the last time?
Emotional, and man, a little bit nervous just to see it, man.
Now, another team member I spoke with tells me she's going to retire after 24 years of working here at the Tropicana. She doesn't want to go anywhere else, so she is checking out of hospitality. Now, going forward, there will be limited staff here at the property, primarily maintenance, security, as well as engineering, as they prepare the building for demolition, which we are anticipating is likely going to be in October, but certainly a very sad day for so many after such a colorful and wonderful history here on the Las Vegas Strip.
Here's a live look at the site of the Tropicana, where an inspection from late last year found asbestos inside several parts of the hotel. That's according to a report filed with Clark County. Risknomics prepared pre-demolition asbestos surveys for Valley Corp, and it actually operated the Tropicana leading up to its closing last week. Well, the survey collected nearly 2,700 bulk samples of materials, by the way, that tested positive for that asbestos, included the fittings on pipe run elbows and elevator door installation. Anything considered regulated asbestos containing materials needs to be removed before the demolition can take place. Taking a live look at the Tropicana, it's been exactly 1 month since the former hotel closed its doors for good to make room for a new ballpark for the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's. Demolition has already started on the property. Take a look at this video that was posted to X. You can see crews starting to tear down parts of the awning leading into one of the main entrances. Workers also spraying the torn down portions of the property with water. And while demolition is starting in some small steps, executives tell us that they are in no rush whatsoever to set a timeline for a new casino resort to replace the shuttered Tropicana. Well, according to Bally's Senior Vice President and Treasurer Charlie Diao, demolition remains on track for October after receiving the necessary permits. A typical demolition requires those permits covering dust control and the removal of asbestos inside parts of the property. It's still unclear if an implosion is possible for the property, even with the demolition permits already being approved. Well, as we mentioned, that Tropicana property will soon be torn down to make room for a ballpark to house the A's. 9 acres of a 35-acre site will be used for the ballpark, with the rest going toward a new Bally's resort. Construction on the stadium is expected to start in the second half of 2025, with the project completed in time for the 2028 Major League Baseball season.
We have an update on the future of the now vacant Tropicana Hotel. Today, commissioners made a decision about the property's gaming license as plans continue to build a Major League Baseball stadium on the site along with a new hotel. Commissioners unanimously approved Tropicana representatives' request for a temporary gaming waiver. That means no gambling necessary on site for 2 years after the buildings are torn down and cleaned up. Commissioners also allow the option of 2 additional 6-month extensions if necessary. Owners of the Tropicana plan to eventually build a new resort hotel. No timeline when that may start because the focus remains on demolition. That includes removal of the famous Tiffany-style glass ceiling.
It has been removed. We had a company come in and remove it took a lot of time and care to get it down correctly. There was no damage at all. It's been crated and it's being stored for now until we have a plan for the next phase.
Do you plan on bringing it back?
That's the plan. No details yet, but we're working through that.
In the meantime, Tropicana continues to sell items inside the hotel. It's only available for private buyers, but may open up to the public in a few weeks. That's according to the company in charge of the liquidation sale.
We have a live look at the site of where this is all supposed to take place right here at the Tropicana. And incidentally, the Trop is hosting a public liquidation sale this weekend. It's the second phase of the whole auction process. It'll go into effect tomorrow, also on Sunday, 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. And they're going to have thousands of things up for grabs inside. They are charging admission. You can't just walk in and kind of window shop, if you will. It's $20 per person to get in, but who knows what you could get your hands on once you have your foot in the door.
We're just a little more than 24 hours away from seeing the iconic Tropicana Hotel come down after 67 years. Part of that final farewell will consist of an illuminating show. Our Georgia Costa spoke to the creators behind the experience. They say you do not want to miss.
Well, yeah, Marie, the creators behind this experience are none other than the multi-generational Grucci family who have been part of several iconic implosion celebrations here in the Valley, including the Stardust, the Dunes, and the Frontier casinos. And that family tells me this Wednesday, this show will be unlike any other.
First, it was going to be somewhat low-key. The rule here in Clark County is implosions have to be produced and initiated in the early morning. So we really weren't planning on there being a major celebration, but then we put some concepts forward to balance on how we could really mark this moment in history.
Phil Grucci, CEO of Fireworks by Grucci, says Wednesday's 2:30 a.m. show that will kick off the implosion of the 67-year-old Tropicana is a production that has been 5 months in the making.
This is a multimedia performance that we're producing. There's a number of lighting elements to it to illuminate the buildings. So you see them when they fell. We have an audio track that's very rousing, very exciting. Fireworks, drones, LED drones, and pyro drones.
While the implosion itself will only last 22 seconds, Grucci says the more than 6-minute 550-plus drone and fireworks show is something that will not only be reminiscent of the iconic hotel, but also of what the future holds.
The stage are the buildings. Right, the theater is the Tropicana property, and what Bally's now is preparing for the stadium, and the performance is using all of those mediums to make one exciting performance leading up to that very nerve-wracking countdown. To give tribute to Tropicana, of course, you're going to see the Tropicana logo in 2 forms: the older logo back 60-some odd years ago, and then the newer logo that exists today, a tribute to the stadium and to the A's coming into the community.
With a piece of history and an iconic era coming to an end, Grucci says what's most important is the tribute to the community.
What I hope they take away from it is certainly excitement, certainly pleasure, watching an evolutionary of an era go by and then get excited about what's coming. It's an era that's coming to an end, but it's also a future that's continuing to build on what we already have here at the Strip.
And as a reminder, there will be no public viewing areas near this implosion site. However, we will take care of that for you. You can tune in to Channel 3 tomorrow evening, well into Wednesday morning, as we will have all that coverage for you on air and online. But for now, reporting live near the Tropicana, Georgia Costa News 3.
Another chapter of Las Vegas history. George, thank you.